glad you could join us. I'm Adam Pellerin, and thanks for joining us all year long as we talk all things New England hockey, including the Boston Bruins. We were fortunate to have a number of special guests on the Hockey Hub through the first part of our season here as the Bruins get ready to play the next half of their season in the new year. But we were fortunate enough to be joined by Morgan Geekie, Andrew Peeke, to talk about the state of the Boston Bruins, talk about some fun things as well. And Morgan Geekie, of course, has a younger brother playing in the National Hockey League who has a very interesting ritual during his warm-up. We talked about that and why he doesn't call David Pastrnak pasta like everybody else. Plus, we had Joe Sacco on the program, Andy Brickley's one-on-one conversation with him about 11 games into his tenure as Bruins interim head coach. And the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame was in December in Pittsburgh, and a number of local ties being inducted, including Kevin Stevens, who is from Pembroke and played in the National Hockey League for a long time, and most notably with the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he won a pair of Stanley Cups and had a pair of 50-goal seasons. He has a very interesting story that he shared with us on the Hockey Hub. And so all of those special guests right now here on this episode.
Joining us now on the Hockey Hub podcast, Bruins forward Morgan Geekie. You know what? You're making history, man. You are the first Bruins player to appear on the Hockey Hub podcast. We've had alumni. First current Bruins player. I mean, if you want to take a couple of moments to gather yourself. Yeah.
I will. I said this is incredible.
It's unbelievable.
What an honor.
It's fantastic. No, but seriously, thanks for doing this with us. Talk a little bit about the state of the team, your year, and some fun stuff too. But I guess we'll just start with the most recent stuff. You guys have won your last two. Defense, special teams, a theme over the last couple of games. What's your take on the last couple?
I mean, just trying to figure some things out. Obviously, we didn't start very well. I think last two is the team we know we can kind of play like, and the way we're building as a team, I think, is important too. And I think you see that in the last couple of games, just the way we're growing into our game. Pucks aren't going in. I mean, just for anyone really.
Right.
Obviously, 1-0 and 2-1 is not the way you can win games in this league consistently, but just kind of getting back to the team we know we can be. We have a lot of good players in that room, can create a lot of offense, I think, and it's going to come. I mean, everyone knows that, it kind of comes in waves, and got to find ways to win when the pucks aren't going in.
Is the last couple games, obviously we'll get into Jim Montgomery in a moment, but is it more about just getting back to basics, getting back to the identity of what Bruins hockey is?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that kind of when we were going through this, and just how the Bruins have always been a notorious tough team to play against, and you don't get that stereotype or name without living up to that for a long time. And I think we kind of got away from that a little bit, and we got a lot of big guys in that room and a lot of strong guys. And I think for us, just learning to play to our strengths is a big one. And we had a couple new guys this year for sure, and some guys leave and whatever. That's kind of the nature of the beast. But I think for us, that's just the main thing. It's just getting back to being tough to play against, playing Bruins hockey. And it's cool when you say Bruins hockey, everybody knows what you're talking about. So
right.
It's pretty easy to try to find your way back there. It's just about executing and getting back to the basics.
You mentioned some changes, obviously new faces in the offseason, some departures as well. And we also heard, from Don Sweeney to Cam Neely and others say that training camp was sort of disjointed because of, some of the injuries you had, some of the guys coming back from surgery, some of the other things that were going on. Did it feel disjointed from your perspective, or was it just a case of you going about your own business and not really paying too much attention to that?
I mean, for me personally, it's kind of just, camp is camp. It's right. Kind of when you come into to go to work and you spend all summer kind of preparing for camp and being ready for that. And obviously injuries and things like that happen throughout camp and guys being out, for the start of it. But, I mean, we're all professionals. We should all kind of just go about our business and do that. But to say it's disjointed, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just a lot of new faces. Some of the the older faces like Marsh didn't play in the preseason,
right.
things like that. Maybe that mattered to some people, but I know in our room for sure it was kind of just something we tried to leave. It was going to run its course, and he came back for the start of the year. So I don't think there's much to say. Maybe I know as a player at least, it's just about getting that group, conjoined together and being a team. You
mentioned Brad Marchand. Some of the other leaders spoke after Jim Montgomery and the Bruins parted ways. Talked about it, basically saying, "Hey, you know what? This is on us. We let them down." Did it sort of feel that way for you?
Yeah, for sure. Coming in here, I'm a pretty fresh face with the Bruins, but coming in. Just the respect everybody had for him, last year and the season they had before I got here. We all knew how good of a coach he is, how good of a person he is. And definitely, I think, we knew we weren't playing up to the potential that we could play to, and the standard maybe sunk a little bit. And then obviously there's changes and things like that. But I think there's a small part of everybody that definitely knows they could give a little more, or it just didn't work out the way that it was supposed to. But he's a great person and a great coach, and obviously he just landed on his feet. So, it definitely wasn't a surprise to anybody to see him to get another job. So, he's a good coach, and it's just one of those things that, hockey's a business at the end of the day, and he's a great person, and I know everyone in this organization has great things to say about him, for sure.
For you personally, last few games now, you've been with Pav and Pasta. And, noticed in the last game, just from my seat watching you, and a couple of cross-ice passes that you made, just short of connecting or coming up short. But it seemed like some of that chemistry is starting to sort of form with you guys. And again, just from my untrained eye, that's what it looked like. Does it feel that way for you, though?
Yeah, for sure. I played with him a little bit last year.
Right.
And it's good. I mean, me and Dave, our kids are around the same age, so we spend a little bit of time together away from the
I love how you call him Dave, by the way. Everyone calls him Pasta. I love how you call him Dave.
I called him Dave I don't know when it was, and someone was like, "Who is Dave?" That's his name. But our kids are around the same age, so we've spent some time together away from the rink. And then Pav's awesome. He's pretty quiet and doesn't say a ton, but he's the best guy and someone you always want in your corner too. So, definitely for me, playing with those two guys for a little while now, it's good. Pucks aren't going in. It feels like, I'm snake bitten. I feel like everyone could say the same thing. But you see the chances, they're coming, and like I said earlier, they're going to come in waves, and sometimes somebody's going to break the ice for us, and things are going to start going in. So it's just about, at least for us, is just keeping on the gas and just being able to make those plays, even though they may not be, you might not finish them. At least you're getting chances. I was always taught that getting chances and not scoring on them is not a problem. It's when you stop getting those chances and stop creating opportunities is when things should maybe make a change or something like that.
Yeah, and you had said earlier in the year that you're the kind of guy, like, you ignore the noise a lot, but you're the kind of guy that kind of pays attention to it a little bit. You read things, you hear things. Is it more difficult to do that when things aren't maybe going well individually or team-wise, to sort of see what people are saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you use that as motivation?
A little bit, yeah. I just like to know.
Right.
I think it's, as a person right now, you kind of forget that you're a hockey player. Like, I used to look up to the person that I am now.
Yeah,
and, see them play in the NHL, and it's like, I know the coach for the Celtics said that one thing about, I think it was Jason Tatum, and how he has to deal with all the adversity and everything everybody says to him, and he's like, no, he gets to. And to me, I was like, that's a great point. It's like there's a lot of people that wish they were in our shoes and could play for the Boston Bruins and all that and play in the NHL just for a day. Mm-hmm. So for me, like, everybody's a fan. Everyone's got an opinion. I was like, it may be educated, may be uneducated. I have a pretty good understanding.
What percentage of that do you think?
I'll leave that up to the listener to interpret. But for me, it's like, I don't know. It's fun. You're a fan. It's like, I'm a fan of football. I'm a fan of baseball. It's like, I see those things, and my opinion on those guys does it matter because they didn't put up enough fantasy points for me this week? It's like I know nothing about football. It's like I'm still gonna be mad at them because they didn't get me however many points I needed.
Right.
So for me, it's like just a different view on things, and obviously there's times you got to take a step back. Especially in like Boston, it's a huge sports market, and people care so much about the team. And you saw that like when we lost those few games there, and we're getting booed off the ice. And it's like it's something that comes with playing in Boston. And as much as it sucks at the time, it's like we probably deserve it.
Yep.
So accountability is a big thing, but we showed up the last couple games. I think. Even a 1-0 win.
Yep.
Everyone's educated enough to know what's going on in hockey and know we played a solid game. So it's like they're going to reward you for that. So just showing up for the city is a big thing. But yeah, for me personally, I was like, Twitter's a crazy place anyway.
Oh, you're telling me.
So it's I find it entertaining. It's good.
Yeah.
So,
they come after broadcasters too. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Yeah,
actually?
A little bit. Yeah, it happens from time to time.
Yeah,
you got to roll with the punches a little bit.
I'd
rather, but to your point about the crowd, like booing you, like as funny as it sounds, you'd rather have them boo you than not, because if they're not booing you, that means they don't care anymore, right?
Yeah.
So if they're coming after you, at least they care about the product, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And as a player, like I'm sure they're frustrated. We're frustrated just with how everything went and has gone. I think we're starting to turn a new page and grow into our game. But it's like I understand the frustration. It's like you don't want to hear it, but it's like someone's got to tell you, and they'll tell us for sure.
Oh yeah, they'll let you know,
good.
man.
It's fun. They'll boo you, but they'll sing your praises too. So
absolutely,
it's not that's. The negativity isn't the only thing that we see. It's not even negative. It's just kicking the butt.
No, it's an investment.
Yeah.
The fans invest because they care, and that's where you want to be as a player, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I can see, obviously, you appreciate that. So I'm looking at the schedule, right, and I'm seeing some other guy with your last name in the league, Connor. I don't know if you know him or not, but no, your younger brother getting an opportunity in the NHL this year for the first time with the Lightning after the trade. Did you just call him like before he made his, how did that work? Like congratulate him? I don't know what kind of relationship you guys have, but.
Yeah, we're close. We're really close.
Yeah.
Our family's all, like we talk every day.
Nice.
Me and him, we don't talk about hockey a ton. I try to give him some pointers here and there.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to him how to get a cashier's check for his apartment the other day. And I was like, those are the things that we talk about. It's not about hockey.
Yeah, well, you're like the married old father now,
I am, right? Yeah, I'm an old guy. But I was like, I went through all those things, and it's tough when you, for the first time especially.
Yeah.
I think he's 20 years old, so it's like a couple years younger than I was, and going down there to a new team with guys you don't really know, especially coming from Arizona. They got a lot of young, youthful guys, good players, and then you go to Tampa Bay where they've won however many cups, they've been to the playoffs however many years, and it's a little different culture maybe, but it's good. I think he fits in. He's very outgoing and maybe the opposite of me, but it's good. He fits in. I'm sure you can tell by his turtleneck and his tinted visor and no teeth. It's like it's maybe the opposite, but
dude, what's up with the pregame shower bath? Like, when did that start?
I have no idea. He was in junior, I think, when he started the walking backwards.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah, so I don't know. Whatever. He started the walking backwards thing. The water thing, I've never even seen that before.
Wow. Okay.
I saw it on maybe
social media. Like it was on,
it was on
the
TikTok
NHL
or
Tampa,
NHL,
yeah.
Somebody would have posted
It's become a thing down there, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We don't really, I don't know.
When you talk,
he's
you don't
something
talk about
else,
that,
man. He's the best, but he's also I can't even put it into words. He's something else. He's good.
How much are you looking forward to, you're going to get to play against him in January?
Yeah, we've always been a little bit far apart in age.
Yeah.
So we've never really played together, played against each other. We skated with each other in the summer for a little bit, and it's always fun. But at that point, we try to play with each other. I like playing with him, and he likes playing with me. Just obvious connection. I'm sure you can put that together. But it's fun. It'll be cool. I think it'll be really cool for our parents and the rest of our family. Yeah, I don't really know. It's
I know
tough to
so
know
far
what
down
to
the
expect.
road, yeah.
I mean, it's not.
It's not, but like I know you guys say like game by game, but like yeah, you're right. It is close. Like
Yeah,
it's 2 months
I think we've got the mom's trip. I think is that
That's right.
trip too. So
Yeah.
my mom will get a front row seat, and I think my wife's going to fly down for that too, just
Nice.
to see everybody. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. He's a great player, and
Yep.
he's kind of coming into his own. So if he has questions or anything, I'll definitely help him out or whatever. But
Right.
he's a smart kid.
Not those games though.
No, not those ones. Yeah, we probably won't talk much. We'll get the courtesy picture for, and that's about it.
Awesome. Well, hey, listen, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Really appreciate you coming on the pod, and good luck the rest of the way. I'll see you obviously at Warrior and TD Garden, but in terms of coming in here and doing this with us, really appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's great. Awesome. Honored to be the first guest.
Yeah, hell yeah. Awesome. Morgan Geekie on the Hockey Hub. Pleased to be joined by Bruins defenseman Andrew Peeke. Thanks for coming on the Hockey Hub, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Yeah, you're making history. You and Morgan Geekie, the first players to appear on the Hub, and I know that means a lot to you. And if you want to take a moment to say a few things, I understand.
It's a special day. I've heard a lot about this, so I'm excited to join.
Awesome. Hey, so I guess we'll just start off by talking about how your first full season with the Bruins is going. I know you were traded here last year, probably a bit of a whirlwind, but to be settled in, starting with training camp, and to sort of start from day one, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a whirlwind when you come in at the trade deadline. A lot of joy, a lot of excitement. You know what you're joining. When you're coming to obviously the Bruins and joining the playoff push and everything like that. But coming here now, coming into the season, getting through training camp. You go through that grind with the guys, and you get to experience, finishing up camp and starting the season, and everyone's together, everyone's learning the systems together. So it's nice to get that rhythm and flow going.
In terms of your off season, I know you're far removed from the off season, but now that we're more than a quarter way through the regular season, what sort of things did you work on, and have you seen signs of improvement in whatever areas those might be?
Yeah, I think every summer I continue to always work on my skating. The game gets faster every year, and especially being a defenseman and having to defend some of these forwards. Skating's always, an area I, try to improve on each summer, and then little things, whether that's at the offensive blue line or, little puck plays behind the net in our own zone, ways to touch and handle the puck, little things like that, you try and, just get repetitions of, coming in camp so that, you feel confident and comfortable doing it in a game.
I know a lot of changes, obviously, last year when you came to Boston, and more changes during your time in Boston. Now Jim Montgomery no longer the head coach, obviously in St. Louis. What was that like from your perspective, that whole thing?
Yeah, like a lot of things, it happens quick. You have to turn that page quickly. Now that we're at the point now, and Joe's behind the bench, we have to adapt and shift to how he is as a coach. And Monty was a great coach, great person, gave me a great opportunity. The moment I got traded here, so I'm thankful for the opportunity he gave me, and he was a really good person. So, but like I said, when stuff like that happens, you obviously you got to wear it, and us players feel responsible for those actions and things that have happened. But you got to turn that page. You got to move on. You got to reset. And I like where we're at right now with the last 2 games and how we played.
You talk about turning the page and resetting. It seems like, there was some reset in terms of the defensive structure too. A lot tighter defensively. Was that sort of a good sort of jumping off point for you guys to say, hey, you know what, we got to get back to basics in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I think just simplifying, what we wanted, to come out of each game looking like, and how we're going to find success, for the now. And then there's, areas obviously you're going to improve on throughout the season, throughout the year. And right now it's, being tight defensively, and offense comes from that, turnovers come from that. And I think the way we're playing, a 1-0, a 2-1 game, little things like that, builds confidence defensively, and then, the offense always comes. When you play good defensively, offense always comes. And I think that, focusing on what we're, trying to accomplish right now is really important for us.
And being paired with Nikita Zadorov, you talk about changes, obviously a big change, so to speak. What's it been like being paired with him?
Yeah, it's good. He's, a very good skater for his size. He can move that puck up ice. And he just has a presence out there. It's calming as a partner. Knowing that he's gonna battle in the corners and has that presence, and guys don't really want to go and try and get that puck from him, because they know that outcome. For me, it's being consistent and being reliable for him. He's gonna jump up the ice. He's gonna do some things that Z can do. But for me, I think he knows where I'm going to be on the ice. He can trust me defensively, and I think we work well as a partner together.
Yeah, you got to face your former team that drafted you back in 2016, 8 years ago. Obviously the result wasn't what you wanted, but what was that like for you to face the Blue Jackets? And I know you got them again at the end of December. You actually go to Columbus, home and home actually. But first, just get back to that first meeting against your old team. What was that like? Yeah,
it's pretty unique. You're friends with all those guys. Really close buddies with some of them. So yeah, it's a little unique, going up against them and knowing some of the memories that you share with them. Your first couple years pro and everything like that. And no, it was fun. Obviously, I wish the game turned out a little differently. We'll have to get them back, but no, it was cool playing against them. Seeing those guys and being able to talk with them afterwards. A lot of good memories there, and it was cool to be able to do that for the first time.
You still keep in touch with a lot of those guys?
Yeah. Keep in touch with them.
Yeah.
See a couple of them throughout the summer. There's been a lot of turnover too there, so a couple guys are elsewhere that I get to see on different teams now. So it's always special. It's the first place you grew up and played with, so they're always gonna have a special place for you.
Now, I know we got to go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit. You played at Notre Dame. And for a year, I believe, when you were at Notre Dame, you were in Hockey East.
Yes,
yep.
Freshman year.
So, and you made it to the semifinals at TD Garden, right? So was that your first time playing? Do you remember that game? Do you remember that experience, being here in Boston for the first time? Maybe that wasn't the first time, but
yeah, it was. It was the first time I played at the Garden.
Okay. Yeah.
We had played, BU and a couple of schools in Hockey East, so been to the area. But yeah, we lost 5-0 to Lowell there.
Yeah.
So maybe not the best first impression.
Norm Basin's got a solid squad year in and year out.
The Garden's, it's awesome, and that fan base, and obviously what we have on a nightly basis here. It's, growing up, everyone knows the Boston Bruins, and it's a place you always want to play. So being in this position now, super fortunate, and it's an honor to wear that B every night.
And you played with Anders Bjork, correct? Is that right? Yeah. So obviously played for the Bruins as well. So the little connection there. The thing that stood out about Notre Dame when they came to the Garden, because first off, having Notre Dame in Hockey East was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I know they went to the Big Ten after that. They were independent, but having you guys in Hockey East was sort of weird. But how good of an experience was that to play? BU and BC, and you mentioned UMass Lowell has a good program. A lot of great hockey programs in that division.
Yeah, it was awesome. At the time, I knew we were going to be in Big Ten that next year.
Yep.
So it was kind of, our last hurrah, I guess,
right,
for a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's you have the BCs, the BUs, those are powerhouses, and you get up for those games. And I think everyone, Notre Dame is a pretty big school itself, and so we were in a lot of competitive games, and it was pretty cool to play some of these teams that you were visiting or looking at the time, and it's kind of random having Notre Dame and Hockey East, but it was kind of the last hurrah to give it a good go.
Now you were recruited by Notre Dame, I take it. And
yes.
So how what led? I'm sure you were recruited by other schools as well. What led to the decision to go to Notre Dame?
So I always wanted to go to a good academic school as well. My parents were always, I want to say tough, but they were.
Strict.
Strict on me being, a good student and, having hockey and school be one and the same. So Notre Dame kind of had the best of both worlds. And, being from Florida, it's not that I could just drive to a campus here or whatever the case. So I did a little college tour trip right before my junior year. Came to the Northeast and, went out west for a little bit. And Notre Dame was the last school I visited. And I knew right when I stepped on campus that if they were going to offer me a scholarship, to play hockey there, that it was a done deal.
Awesome.
And, I knew right away walking out of there that once that was settled, told my parents that I'm going here. So.
And you go to football games, I take it?
Yeah.
How cool is that? Experience?
Those Saturdays are pretty special. Those tailgates and going to the games, and it's just a whole different atmosphere. And it's, you have hockey, but sometimes there's just enjoying the college life.
Yeah.
And that was, some of those days were memories forever.
Have you had a chance? I know obviously with your schedule it's kind of tough, but have you had a chance to go back to campus at all? Or
I usually go back. So right before training camp, they do a pro week there, and there's a good amount of us that play professionally, all over the world, I guess still. For here and the AHL, whatever the case may be. So all of us usually go back for a week right before camp. This year I didn't just because moving, new city and everything, but the last 4 or 5 years I'd gone back every week.
Awesome. I know growing up, even going back way further, you had talked about your favorite player growing up. You were a Panthers fan, obviously. It's well documented, being from Parkland, Florida. But your favorite player was Joe Sacco, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
He just had a way about him, on the ice. You always spotted him, whether he was hitting someone or scoring a goal, or he kind of could do everything. And
now it must have been when he came back, right, to Florida, because
yes,
yeah,
the timeline
it was like 2011 he came back, I think. Early 2010. Because when he was drafted, it was like before you were born. I think,
like right? When I was really young, like Pavel Bure, he was phenom down there, and I would always have like a Bure jersey.
Yeah.
But as I kind of started, understanding the game a little bit more, and that I knew I was a defenseman. He was someone that I just enjoyed watching.
Yeah, #1 overall pick, I think Jovanovski was back in '94, I think. If my memory serves. I don't have my phone with me, so I'm not looking it up. So that's pretty cool. But in terms of your hockey career now, where you're at, what sort of goal do you set goals for yourself, like moving forward, or is it just sort of like you take it's day by day, building, right? As they say in hockey, you build your game.
Yeah, I mean, there's goals, that you have. A lot of it for me is just the consistency, like you said, day in and day out. I think for me and my game, the way I play, being consistent, being reliable, being someone that the coaches, my teammates can trust, that makes me effective on a night in, night out basis. I'm not one to score 30 goals or have 50 points or whatever, but there's other things, block shots, hits, little things like that I take pride in. I think that for me and my game is a pretty important part for me.
I know when you got to Boston, you talked a lot about the traffic being like, what is this, right? But in terms of settling in Boston, I mean, what have you learned about the city, during your time here outside the rink?
I love it. There's so many things to do. There's so many parts of town. The North End, you have Seaport, Southie, whatever. Different restaurants, different vibes in each little section. So it's been awesome, being able to come here and experience all those. And there's so many restaurants and places and things that I haven't even done yet. So that's pretty cool for me to, still tack along.
I know we're in the holiday season, right? But I got to go back to, this was your first Halloween with the Bruins, and I saw your costume.
Yeah.
Was that you and your girlfriend?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome idea, right?
Yeah.
But my favorite part is her costume. So this Happy Gilmore and the Caddy, right? For those who didn't see it. No shoe.
Yeah, she didn't have.
That was nice, man. Was that her idea? Is that all her?
Yeah.
Did you guys collaborate?
She came up with the costume idea.
Yeah.
And we threw out a couple others, but I thought that was the first one she came up with, and I'm like, let's just do it. Let's keep it simple. Let's do it. And then we were taking pictures, and we were looking at the pictures of us two, and I'm like, you got to take that boot off. Like, you got to get the sock off. You got to do it real.
That's awesome.
So then she kept it like that throughout the day and then the night. So it was, she wore it like a champ.
Oh man, I remember that scene too. It's like slightly to the left. That's because you're not wearing a shoe.
Yeah. So awesome. Funny.
Are you looking forward to the sequel? Like sequel's coming out like at some point. Did you know that?
Yeah. I mean, the original's so good.
It is. I know.
It won't ever be topped, but it's exciting knowing that there's going to be another Happy Gilmore.
I know. I can't wait. I can't wait for Shooter. Unfortunately, Chubbs Peterson, R.I.P. Carl Weathers. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Finally, I'll just ask you. The holidays. You guys have a little time off during Christmas. What will you do?
Not sure yet.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But no, I've gone to Florida most of the time. One year I actually had COVID in Columbus.
Oh, really?
Stuck there. But no, I usually go to Florida and be with my family. Maybe visit my girlfriend Ryan's family in Long Island. So just check the schedule, check flights, see what's out there, and I got two good options. So
how important is that break for you? Like just to kind of like decompress for a little bit.
Yeah, it's I know it's nice, and sometimes it's not, right? Like sometimes you're in a groove, sometimes you're playing, but it is nice, to kind of sit back, and hockey's on your mind 24/7.
Yeah.
If anyone says otherwise, I think they might be lying.
Yeah, you can't turn it off.
It's every day, so it's what we do. It's our job. We love it. But sometimes it is nice to just kick back, see family, see friends, talk about other things. And, just enjoy the holidays. So
awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on the Hockey Hub and spending some time with us talking hockey and outside the rink, too. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bro.
First guest, eh?
Yeah, that's right, man.
Yeah,
love it.
Time, hey?
Joe, I think most Bruins fans are well versed in the fact that you're a Boston guy. You grew up in Medford. You had a great college career at BU. Your great amateur career, 700, 800 games in the NHL. But you've been in the coaching business in this game longer than you were as a player. And I think the Bruins fans, because there's always a new generation of Bruins fans, I think they'd be interested to know Joe Sacco as the coach. You know, his philosophy. What drives him, what keeps him in this business, and those types of things I think would really resonate with the people.
I think when it started for me, it was towards the end of my playing career. I realized that it was coming to an end soon, and what was I going to do post-hockey? And just remember the last few years of playing, really paying attention to the coaches, even more so than when I did earlier on in my career. Paying attention to the details, how they went about their business, and just thinking that this could be something that I could do post-playing career. And the teaching aspect was always intriguing to me. I always felt when you played for a good coach, you remembered that coach, and you learned a lot from him. And so I always felt like that teaching aspect, if I got into coaching, being able to share my experiences when I played as a player, and then obviously when you start to, learn your craft a little bit more about coaching, share that with the players as well. And like I said, I got into coaching. It was maybe a year or so after I retired from playing. I was lucky enough to start out in Lowell, which was Colorado's farm team at the time. They were a split affiliate with Carolina, and I was thrown in as the assistant coach with zero coaching experience. And I worked with a guy by the name of Tom Rowe, who was also another local guy. And Tommy was coaching Carolina's farm team, and that's who we were the split affiliate with. So long story short, that's how I got into coaching. And I think as far as to now, what motivates me still to this day is obviously, well, it's the players. For me, at the end of the day, it's how can you get individuals to be better as part of a team, right? You're trying collectively to win as a group, and then individually you have guys running their own races. And so you're trying to do both. You're trying to have guys have successful careers, but at the same time, you're trying to shape a team and understanding that it's in everybody's best interest if the team does well. Everybody will benefit, and that's the challenge that I really like.
I think most players, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think most players, when it is winding down their career, and they do give some consideration as to what are we going to do when we're done playing, and we all think we could be pretty good coaches. When did it really take root? Was it that first year in Lowell? Because a lot of guys might try coaching and then they abandon it, but you've stayed with it and made an awesome career out of it.
Yeah, it's been 20 years, I think, or somewhere right around there since I haven't had a year off from coaching, so I've been very fortunate in that regard. I've worked with good people, but I would say the first year was a big learning experience. Like I said, I had no idea how to coach. It didn't. I mean, there's long hours, there's travel involved. I had a young family at the time, and my kids were just starting to, they were 8, 7, and maybe 3 at the time, or 8, 5, and 3 at the time. And so I give my family a lot of credit for obviously allowing me to pursue that career. But I would say it was after the second year or third year that I realized this is something that I could see myself doing more on a regular basis, something that hopefully would, eventually lead to something more.
So how does the reward that you get for being, a quality coach, how does that offset the time and the sacrifice? I mean, you're at the rink probably 3x compared to when you were a player. I mean, that's a major commitment, and you have to chase it. Coaches are hired to be fired, and you got to chase the job opportunity.
I guess it goes back to the passion that you have for the game and the job, right? I think you have to have the passion. If you don't, it doesn't matter what you do in any aspect of your life. You're not going to have success. So if you're passionate about something and you work hard at it and you're dedicated and you put the time in, typically you'll get rewarded. But it's long hours. It's a lot of time away from the family, but and it's a sacrifice, right? It's a sacrifice for them. It's a sacrifice for me, but the reward, I guess, like I said before, at the end of the day, is the ability to work with players, share your experiences that you've had, and hopefully, you can teach them how to be, there's always the systems and the X's and O's, but also teach them how to be good pros and what it takes to be, part of a winning culture, which is something that I've really benefited from being here in Boston.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's really rewarding. But again, especially the higher levels that you coach in, it's about wins and losses. It really comes down to that. It can be all about the plays, and that can be your driving force, and getting the most out of them and maximizing their skill sets within the team structure, and that's phenomenal stuff. But then it comes down to wins and losses. And I'm curious about, you've been in it for 20 plus years. Have the players changed? Have the athletes changed in those 20 years in how you go about doing that, getting the most out of these guys?
Well, before I answer that, I should say the other main reason that I'm still in this business and I enjoy it is obviously for the ultimate prize, right? We're all in it. Like you just said, this business is about winning, and at the end of the day, you're here to win the Stanley Cup, right? And to do it here, there'd be no better place. We came close in 19. Fell one game short as the assistant. We had a great run, but that's really, at the end of the day, besides everything else, what really drives me anyways as a coach. But so going back to your question again, remind me again what it was. Tell me again.
I was saying, have the players changed?
Oh, the players,
over
yeah.
20 plus
I
years?
think so. Everybody says every generations change, right? I would say the one difference now with the generation is the players today, as opposed to when, I guess, you or I were playing, they want more feedback. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a positive thing. I think, when you talk to players, if someone's not playing well or they're not playing, say they're not in the lineup, they want that feedback. They want to know why. They want the information. And I think, to me, that's been the biggest difference, is the amount of feedback they want. And I look at it in a positive way. I think it's good because that opens up the lines of communication between the player and the coach. I can think back to when I was playing, if I was a scratch or didn't play much back in the days, didn't really hear why a lot. Now there's that information that they get and the reasons why.
Well, I'd like to peel that onion a little bit more, but before we get there, and if we do have time to get there, I think the Bruins fans certainly want to know about the state of the Bruins right now. Let's go back to the first 20 games of the season. Couldn't really get some traction, win one, lose one, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, maybe 2 steps back. Expectations aren't being met by anybody, by the coaching staff, by the players, by the organization. Individual player performances not really where you needed it to be. And then it ends up being a drastic move and they make a coaching change. Now, since then, now that you're at the helm, 7-3 in the last 10. I'm curious how it changes for you as somebody that was the associate coach that now is the head coach, and how does that change your job description and how you go about messaging to the players?
It's a great question. When the change happened, obviously it's it's shocking for everybody, right? You lose a really good coach, even a better person, and then you say, okay, now it's my job, it's my opportunity to help this team get back to where we think it should be at that particular time. And these guys, I've been with these guys for 10 years, not all the players, but a number of them. I've been here for 10 years now. So a lot of the guys here, they already know me as a person. They know who I am. They know how I act. And so you go from that associate role to the head, right? And so there's that transition. But you can't change who you are. You're going to change certain things about, you have to make harder decisions, when it comes to the lineup. There's more on your plate. You have other things to deal with now than you did as an assistant or associate coach. But I think at the end of the day, because of the relationships that I've established with these players going back from that amount of time, and even the ones that haven't been here 10 years, they could be here for a year or two, I believe there's that trust factor between player and coach, and the decisions that we make, the hard decisions, because of the relationships that I've been able to form, there's honesty there, there's truth, and I don't think there's any reason for them to think otherwise. And so that's been the biggest change, is just trying not to, even though it's a different role, you still have to be who you are.
Well, you touch on a couple of things, and 1,000 things raced through my head that I want to talk to you about. I'll start with the most simplest. How's the stress level? How does the stress level change now that you're the guy? Even though the messaging might not change a whole lot, you might not change the way you play a whole lot, you might tweak certain things, but does the stress level change?
It's certainly not lower than it was before. Listen, Boston's a great hockey community, as we both know. Brick, we grew up here. There's pressure There's pressure to win, so with pressure comes stress. But I feel at the end of the day, I look at it as, I was given an opportunity by management, a second opportunity to be a head coach again, which, it took 10 or 11 years, whatever it was. And when I said if it ever came around again, I was going to look at it in a different way. And I've been able to, over the last 11 years, grow from my experiences and learn from your experiences. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you have to enjoy what you're doing and take a step back sometimes and realize, like, this is what you've wanted. Enjoy the ride. If you're prepared and you do the work, the stress level goes down, right? If you're not prepared and you're not doing that, then obviously that increases. But we have a great staff. We work hard. We try our best to prepare the team with a good game plan every night. And then hopefully the players go out and execute that game plan at a high level. And that's the way I look at it.
You mentioned the longevity, the 10 years plus with the Boston Bruins. There were some coaching changes. People were wondering, why is Joe Sacco getting passed over? Explain to us the relationship. I mean, you have to be a high-quality coach and a valued piece of the organization to stay in the position that you stayed in, through some of the changes. What's that relationship like with the Bruins, and how do you process how that all falls in place?
From day one, I've been very fortunate. It's been a great relationship with Cam and Donnie up top, obviously running the show. The first year it was Peter who was here, Shirelli, but then there was the change. But I've had a great relationship, and even with the coaches that have come in here, first I was able to work under Claude for a couple of years. Then I went to work with Bruce, and then obviously with Monty, and really good coaches. And I looked at it like it was an opportunity for me to learn and become a better coach because of those guys. There were certain things that each one of those guys brought to the table as a coach that I really admired. There was a lot of things, but there's certain things that you pick out and you see, okay, hey, this could work for me. I really believe in what they're saying and what they're doing. There's other things that may not work for you. But to have the trust from management, even through those coaching changes, that they wanted me to be a part of what was here, I'm pretty proud of that fact, and I'm thankful for that too as well.
Let's go back to the team, the current team. Where are they at mentally, emotionally, physically? Do they have the believability that they are certainly a playoff team? From your vision, what needs to improve? What areas of the game need to be better? Based on your philosophical tenets, what you believe in makes a quality NHL team. Where are you in relationship to wanting to be the team that you want to be?
Well, we're getting there. I think that since over the last 10 games, we've showed signs of improvements in different areas that I believe, and we believe as a staff, that we need to have so we can have success. Every coach has a belief system on how they should play. My belief system is, it just happens to be that I think that it starts from the goaltender out. I think that we have to be a team that defends really well all the time, not just sometimes, all the time. There has to be a commitment to checking from our group, because I believe that that's going to give us the best chance to win. And then I think from there, I think the offense will take care of itself if we look after our responsibilities away from the puck first. Like I said, defending, checking, making sure that we're managing it at the right time. But we've shown a lot of progress, but there's still a lot of work to be done. I think we still have a lot of room for improvement in those areas.
Well, lastly, and thanks for your time, as always. Always love our conversations. I don't know if this is a fair question to end the conversation on, but what's it going to take to get that interim tag off there?
I don't know the answer to that. You talked. I'm focused on Seattle tomorrow, but like I said, I'm trying to do the best job I can. The staff is as well, to help this team move forward. And our ultimate goal is obviously to get to the playoffs. But there's a process involved, and that's what we're trying to stick to on a daily basis. There's going to be highs and lows, and we're always trying to teach and correct, and then we move on. We lost a tough one last night. We worked on it today, and now we move forward. But like I said, I'm trying to enjoy it as well, and then we'll just see what happens from there.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, thanks, Brick.
All right, buddy.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations on your election to the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, getting set for induction into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame next month. What does the honor mean to you?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, it's a great honor. It was something that I wasn't, looking forward. I wasn't looking toward it because I think I played my last game in 2000, so it's 25 years ago. So I think I'm a late inductee, one of those guys. But yeah, it was great to get in. It's a great honor. It's a lot of good hockey players in the United States and a lot of good guys. I looked up to all these guys. They played, a lot of U.S. tournaments and a lot of. I love playing for the United States, so that was something. I like I said, I wasn't looking for the induction. It just kind of came as a surprise, but it was a great honor.
Kevin, looking back to your career when you were first starting in the National Hockey League in Pittsburgh, when did you feel like things were starting to take off?
I was kind of a late bloomer. I played on the Olympic team in 1988, and that was a big jump. I was at Boston College, and I scored a lot of goals there. But I think when I went to the Olympic team, that's where I kind of took off because I learned how to really skate better. We skated for 3.5 hours a day for 8 to 9 months before the Olympics. Had a great skating coaches, and when I got to Pitt, I was always a goal scorer, so I had that kind of tag on me that I could score goals. And I think the biggest thing, Judd, is when you have that tag of scoring goals, you get to play with good centermen, right? I think that's the most important thing is where they put me. Sometimes guys come. I started out on the fourth line just like anybody else, and I worked my way up to play with some great centermen. But it just helps that I was able to get that opportunity to play with great centermen. And we started once I got to Pitt that first year. I was up and down a little bit, but Craig Patrick was building that team. There was some good part. Obviously, Mario was there, so he was a big part. But he was putting some pieces together, and probably in the late '80s, early '90s is where that's where my career kind of took off.
I do want to dive into your career in Pittsburgh, obviously, but you mentioned Boston College, so I want to go back a little bit. Obviously, you're a local kid, grew up in Pembroke, and you went to BC, got drafted in '83. How much did your career at BC set you up for success?
Yeah, BC was great. Like I loved going to BC. Back then, it was all Mass kids going to BC, so I basically went there with all my friends. We just moved into a dorm and we played with each other because back then there was no Canadians at BC. There was just all Mass guys, all the guys that I played with and I grew up with. But it was great there. I loved Boston College. I loved the experience. We had great teams and great players. I think like anything, the better players you play with, the better you become. You just kind of grow together at every level you're at because you want to stay and you want to play. So you either got to produce or you don't play, and that was the same thing at college. And I was lucky enough to play with some great players here too, and it was just a great stepping stone. I love Boston College.
So if memory serves, that's when the nickname Artie finally stuck for you. I guess this is a two-parter. Does your mom still not like it? And what was your dad's reaction?
Yeah, my mom never liked it. That was kind of like she named me Kevin. She thought Kevin was a pretty good name. He said Artie's not the name she was looking for, but it was an easy thing. It stuck, man, to that stick at Boston College. I think Neil Shea gave me that name, and it's just I think it's just an easy name to say. It's stuck, and I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know why. That's what everybody calls it. But people I don't even know start calling me that, Joe, that's when I know I'm in trouble,
Well, I know a lot of people obviously look at your career in Pittsburgh and, obviously incredible numbers and the back-to-back 50-goal seasons, 2 Stanley Cups. And of course, there's the guarantee, right? In 1991, after going down 2-0 to the Bruins in the playoffs, I think a lot of people are familiar with the story, but just take us back to that time. You lose a tough one to the Bruins and you're down 2-0. And then the media, they come to you, and then more people come over because they're hearing what you're talking about. You make a guarantee you're going to win 4 straight. Take us through that.
Yeah, that was more of, honestly, that was more of just being so mad. I remember we're in that game too in the Garden. We were up 5-3, and they called a couple of penalties on. They put us 5-on-3, and I think Neely scored. They tied it. You guys tied it 5-5, and it was like, and then we're going into overtime. We're mad. I'm mad that it's 5-5. Then Ruzicka scores a goal in overtime, and I'm like 4 feet behind him, and I see the puck go in the net. I'm like, oh, it went over the line by about 4 inches. I couldn't reach it. I was so mad after the game. I think any reporter came to me. They just came to me at first because I had my whole stall was destroyed anyway. So it was kind of like, let's get over here and see what Steven says. Another stupid comment, and that's basically how it all unfolded. I made the stupid comment that we're going to win. I felt we were going back home, so I felt we could win we'd win the next 2 games at home, and then after that it was a crapshoot. But we were able to do it. It wasn't something that I planned. It was kind of out of mad, just being so mad about the game. I said we're going to win the next 4 straight, and everybody ran with it. So thank God it worked out. But it was. I was confident we could win our 2 games at Pittsburgh. Then we'll see what happened after that, because they say it's never really over till you get that loss at home after you lose 2 on the road. So we always played well in our Stanley Cup years. We always lost that first game always, and so we always battled back from that. But we getting down 2-0 to the Bruins. That was a lot of work. We had to put our nose to the grindstone there.
Were the emotions in that series a little bit different for you because you're a Pembroke kid?
Yeah, they always are. Anytime I ever came back to Boston, Judd, it was something special. It was always coming into that Garden. I think Game 5 was the best game I ever had. I scored 4. The series was tied 2-2, and I had 4 goals that night in the Game 5. I had 3 in the first period, so that was a big one. That was the one I'll remember forever the rest of my life, because when the series was tied 2-2 and you want to have a big game, and we came out flying that night and we were able to get some bounces, and playing with Mario and Yaga, you just had not a bad swing and miss playing with those 2 guys.